Welcome, everyone, to a very special edition of the selection table where we're not selecting players, we're not selecting Epoxy 23. No one cares about football anymore. It's the real stuff. It's trade and draft period. So this week, we will become list managers. We're no longer selectors. All of you in chat, all of you on screen, you're now list managers. So who cares who plays full forward? We're buying new ones. As always, I'm joined by another draft guru, another man who loves his trade and off-season, the great man himself, Big Ian from the Navy Blue Corner. How are you feeling?
Oh, mate, very good. It's been nice to not have to stress about footy for a couple of weeks, even though obviously we'd want to be there on the big dance. But having this season, you know, being a Carlton supporter, you kind of have to get excited about trades and draft. It's almost conditioned at this stage. But no, I absolutely love this stuff. And I mean, judging by the way our season ended and looking at some of the rumors already, it's going to be a busy offseason for a multitude of reasons. We've got a lot that needs a few tweaks. So I'm very excited for us to go through it all and go through what the listeners likely have with the selection table all year. When we go to the vote, that is what I'm absolutely pumped up for.
Well, there's going to be a lot of votes tonight. There's going to be a lot of votes. You're going to be voting on just about everything. And if towards the end of the season, I've got to say the club started watching the selection table because we started to nail some of the calls. So I do like to think right now, somewhere in a little country home, Agresta and Austin are sat there with a beer and like, we'll just see what these guys do. Then we'll get it sorted, shall we? That's off-season done for us.
Yeah, one can only hope. Hopefully this is my audition and I'll be in the rooms with them next year.
You know what? That would be my dream if we hear Nick Austin when they say, why did you do this trade? He goes, watched Ian and Pom. They just did it. Yeah, they made it look easy. Well, what we're going to do is first, we're going to have lots of screens that you can vote on, right? So let me bring this back up because I am stupid. And sending love to Lucinda, who's watching us all the way from hospital. So I made that sound a lot more exciting when I said all the way, as if like she was in Vegas. But sending my love to you, Lucinda. I hope you're doing well. Peace, love, and light to you. But at the moment, this is our list. We have got 34 players on our senior squad, 5 in the rookie A, and 1 in the rookie B. And that's because we delisted Jack Martin, Caleb Marchbank, Mr. Cunningham, Domaku, and Alex Murkoff, right? And what we do know next year is Matt Duffy has to sign. So we can straight away do that. So we can straight away have our rookie Bs back to normal. But players we've got to decide while we're in chat, and our first decisions are these guys here, right? We've got Matt Owens, we've got Jack Carroll, Matt Carroll, and Sam Durden. So initial thoughts, chat, on them 4 names before we get into the exciting stuff. Where are we sat? Mr. Ian, where are you sat with them 4 names? Obviously, 2 of them have been heavily linked with moves away.
It's going to be interesting with these. I'll be honest, they're not super exciting names. And if they stay or go, I won't be too hurt either way, which maybe with a Matt always is controversial. But to start with Jack Carroll, he kind of is a bit of a real just wait and see. If we can get some value, I assume it'd be probably like a 4th, maybe a 3rd, something like that. It's probably more a list spot that we'd be wanting to open up rather than anything else. I can't see us getting a tremendous amount of value. Him as a player probably just hasn't nailed down a role, a true position. I think he was our most used starting sub this year, and that probably sums him up. He wasn't in the starting lineup there every single week. When he came on, it was a bit of midfield, bit of high half forward. So it's kind of a bit stiff for him. We maybe haven't seen enough. I'd be happy to keep him, but if it means bringing in another talent, that's probably where you strike. Matt Carroll, well, we know not much from this guy. He's on the rookie list, so I'd say he'd just get re-signed. I doubt there's many rookies we'd be looking to get in instead of him. Sam Durden, probably not a player I would love to keep just pure talent-wise. And the fact he can't seem to stay fit either, it's him and Marchbank in the back line all year has been horrific for depth. But we've already moved on Marchbank. We're potentially moving on Lewis Young. That might just save Sam Durden because I think we're already light on some key defenders. And then finally, I guess Matty Owi's incredibly stiff to be looking to move on. I'd say there's maybe two other small forwards you'd potentially move on before him, but he's out of contract. The others aren't. And with list spots being so tight right now, if we want to bring in a Dan Houston, a Sam De Koning, or anyone else other than just Nick Haynes and the draftees, well, someone has to make way. And I think you can hope on the ceiling of a Motlop instead.
I think that's fair. Chat, to tell you what, some of the chat have already killed Owies. Hey, tell you what, chat, you make me happy sometimes. You make me happy. Jack Carroll, to answer your question, Sandra, Carlton could do the old dodgy. They could delist him and rookie A him if they wanted to. They could do that. There is nothing in the rule book that says they can't. Matt Carroll, you're asking what he brings. Well, Matt Carroll and Cooper Lord were probably the stars of that Sandringham team a year ago. He came to us severely injured and been injured all year. So I think he's a rookie A. You ain't getting anything better for a rookie A, I don't think. So I don't mind it. I don't mind it. And obviously Jack Carroll's that interesting one. Like Chat and Ian, let's just talk value. If a club came in, what offer makes you say, yeah, see you later, Jack Carroll?
A third probably is enough. I don't think he's worth that. Personally, I'd say value is a fourth, and fourths are pretty much nothing in this draft, but a third, and depending what we're bringing in, is probably where I'd be looking at Jack Carroll. I can't really see anyone offering more than that for a guy that can't really break into our team, but I'm very interested to know what the chat has to say.
Tell you what, the chat agreeing with you. Look, I mean, I'd say the same. I'd say if I can snag a pick just anywhere in that 45 plus area, 45 to 55, I'm not going to vomit. Would you be wanting that to be a pick in this year's draft to bolster the points, or would you be saying just give me a future and we'll use that next year? You see, I mean, I don't mind a future, to be honest. I mean, I think if we can get a pick this year and maybe that bolsters it up. If there's a club wanting a third, because you know people laugh at thirds, but you go back through AFL history, right? The third is the deal opener. Like the amount of times you see in the AFL, I want an 8, I want pick 8, I want pick 9. No. I'll give you pick 9 and pick 60. Oh, okay then. And then the club passes on pick 60. It's literally 9 out of 10 trades. So we might be laughing at Jack Carroll, right? Saying, oh, shit, pick 50, that shit. But I am telling you, history tells you that let's just say Dan Houston is a first and we haggle them down to a future second. Port Adelaide might say no. But if Carlton go, oh, we'll give you a first, pick 60 and a future second, they'll go, oh, okay. Yeah, that could genuinely be the difference between pick 11 and the future first being used. And it's so dumb. I love going back retrospectively on these big moves that were haggled over such a small thing. I think we've done it with Essendon a few times, and you go through and you're like, I didn't even use the pick. What was the point of trying to make it look when you get that on the official social media and the website of your football club saying, look, we fleeced them. We got that future third. How good is this? Do you know what I mean? No, I agree with you. So, I mean, chat, are we in agreement? Shall we trade? Shall we see what we can do for Jack Carroll? Shall we put him in the the trade pile. See what trades we can do while we do that. Matt Carroll, I think we should rookie A. I think we all agree on that.
Yeah.
Like, we ain't going to get anything for that.
Give
Sam Durden. So my proposal, chat, is we trade Carroll to see what we can get. Rookie A, Matt Carroll. We'll do this one as the maybe to see what we do with the trades. See if we can get someone in. And Matt Owens, I think for realism, we should trade him.
I think so. I mean, we've already got probably one too many small forwards, and I'm looking at value, I think, in the market right now. And I know he's had a really good year, Matt Owens, but he hasn't kind of done that previously. And so many times we want, Motlop and Durden to be prioritized because of their higher ceiling that gets spoken about a lot. And even last year, Jesse Motlop, goals were very similar. I'd say probably had a better year than, Owens this season. You can find those small forwards anywhere. If you get one in the draft early, or even there's a couple, I think, that are somewhat available to trade or pick up as a delisted player that if you need to fill a list, I think you can bank on Motlop and Fantasia and Durden instead. And Ashton Moyer to throw in there as well.
Okay. No, mate, I agree with you. So, Chris, good day to you, Mr. Faz Senior. For those who like Carroll, just tell me why you'd keep him. I'm genuinely interested. I'm not taking the piss. I just want to hear some reasons to do that. But while we do this, let's just see what would happen if we got rid of these. So currently, you got to remember that this is kind of fake because you've got Nick Haynes guaranteed to come, and you've also got Ben Camporelli. So if you add them to that, that means you've only got one list spot. So remember that as well when you're doing this, that we've got to add 2 names to them, right? At all times. But let's just see if we do this right now, what does that do to our list spots? We've got 2. Matt Carroll's staying. Sam Durden's going tubby bye-bye. Chat have overruled it. So we're going to have to find a rookie. Going to have to find a rookie, chat. We're going to have to find a rookie. Okay, so if we did this, right, that means basically we would look like this when Ben Camporelli and Nick Haynes come through. We'd have 3 list spots effectively. So we've now got some maneuverability, right? But we're going to have to improve our trade situation. So this is exciting. Now, of the names, chat, as I read this, I want you to start thinking about who else on the list, right, you could maybe kill, right? And as a good rule of thumb, 2025 players are a good place to start, right? 2025 players are a good place to start because clubs genuinely sell these players a year earlier than when they're out of contract, which is probably why Matt Kennedy is one of the names. But just have a think if there's anyone and be realistic. Be realistic. I don't want to see in the comments, I'd sell Jesse Motlop because it ain't fappening. I'm saying in the realms of reality and plausibility, it's got to be. Yusuf, I'm not too sure if you're trying to wind me up, but Rob Monaghan hate, the guy has been in the country 9 months. If anyone's hating a category B where the statistical probability of them playing senior football is less than 6%, that's where it is. It's the lowest category to play senior football. That's kind of banter because I would counter this on a on a Wednesday afternoon. You're complaining about Rob Monaghan, but he's 19 years old, coming from a small county in Ireland. Never heard of AFL football, and he's currently earning a full-time wage playing football, which is every Australian's dream, and he's done it in 6 weeks of training.
Yeah, you got to take a punt on these guys, at least a couple.
No, but I mean, that's quite funny to me. 6 weeks. He's only played the game 6 weeks, and he's already superior to 99% of Australia by playing professional football.
He's done well.
Jesus. But let's have a look. So we've got that. So Matt Kennedy. Do you know what I mean? Matt Kennedy. right? We've got Matt Kennedy on there. He's one of them. Let's see what names you're bringing in.
Who have they got?
Fantasia. You got to remember, if you think he's shit, we're going to have to go to the fantasy clubs now and tell them Fantasia's good.
Unless somehow GWS still, after chasing him last year and us beating him, have gone, oh, I really like what I saw this season. But it's the tough thing for some of these where you're going, even if you did offload them, is it worth pretty much getting nothing back for them? And maybe people will argue if you could somehow get Fantasia away and keep Owies, that's a win. And to some degree, I'd probably agree with you, but I just don't think there's a taker. I'm not sure you'd see it.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? Do you know what I mean? Cottrell, you know, Cottrell's name's been thrown up quite a bit. I don't mind it. Sam Walsh for TDK, SDK. Well, I mean, to be fair to Sandra, that's the first time someone's valued SDK at probably where his value is. Like, I've seen some comments on Facebook and Twitter today that have actually blagged my head. I'm actually physically in pain from what I've read. Yeah, it's funny you say that, Says. Someone suggested a future first and Pitternet.
Mate, every party be happy with that one. No brainer.
Ah, dear. Okay, right. So, chat, what we'll do is park that and we'll put the real life trades. We'll try and help Nick Austin out. We'll put the real life trades and we'll take that to this sheet here, right? So, this sheet here, we're going to play a game, a really important game. And what we're going to do as a team is we're going to rank our positions to see if we can find any holes. So what you'll see on your screen at the moment is key back, mid small defense, mids outside, mids inside, mid forwards, mid small forwards, rucks and key forwards. And what we've got here is these averages. So we've got to build a team for Voss. Remember that. We can't build a team we like. We have to build a team the coach likes. So what you'll see is every category, and I'll read them out if you're watching on a phone and they're a bit small. We've added how many Voss genuinely plays, because that's going to be very important. We ain't going to go to Voss and change the system. So these are in any order. I haven't actually ranked them. I've left that for us. I've just thrown them in the screen because I'm a naughty boy. So we'll start. Remember, we've got two of these playing, but in key forwards, we've got Wheater Young, McGovern, Durden, and Kemp. Chat, I want you to rank them as key backs in order of which you think is best to worst, right? So, Ian, I'll start with you while we do it. Like, rank them for me in order.
Yeah. I think this is potentially the only... Oh, this and probably the ruck is probably the easiest for me compared to all the others. I think Wiedering's clear number one. Gov's your number two. Kemp 3. Then would go Lewis Young into Sam Durden. I mean, Lewis Young and Sam Durden, you can kind of coin flip it, but at least Lewis Young stays fit for me.
Yeah, well, I mean, what we'll do as well to make it easy while you've done that, and chat, I think chat are pretty much in agreement with you as well. But what we'll do is we'll highlight these. What color do I like? There we are. I like that color. There we are. I love a color. These are the guys we've put potentially on the trade block. So at the moment, everyone is totally agreeing with you. You know what? You've done very well, chat, as well, right? Because imagine if you'd put Lewis Young after he was traded, the top two. You see, I agree with you guys, chat. I think that is it. Now, as you can see, if we take these away, and it's interesting, we've got the asterisks here. What the asterisks tell you is that they're not traditional key backs, but Voss likes to play one there. So I think already that probably needs some work, doesn't it?
Yeah, big time.
Like that actually worries me. When you actually look at it in paper, that actually scares the shit out of me, that is our key back depth.
Yeah, no, it worried me going into the season. I thought we were one light, and then as the season progresses, Marchbank then injured for the whole year, Durden injured for the whole year. I think you could see it at stages. It's why Lewis Young almost worked really well late when we had a bit more height. I think Brody Kemp playing that lockdown just got a little oversized and gave his opponent too much space at times. He's still young, so he can really grow into that. And like you often say, Vossi loves the more intercept style player rather than maybe your traditional lockdown. And now we're bringing in another interceptor in Nick Haynes.
Yeah, well, I mean, Nick Haynes, chat, and Ian, we've got him coming in, and we've already added him to our list, right? Where would we rank him in this? Because you can see why we've got him, because Voss likes their medium-sized players, right? Where would you rank Nick Haynes in this argument? Is he above Lewis Young and Durden? Is he above Kemp? Is he above March McGovern?
Yeah, I've got him exactly where you've got it there, in between Kemp and Young. He's, 33? I think it's a shrewd signing. It's a really smart thing to get a guy basically for free, adds to your depth. To be really harsh on him, I think we still need someone better, and maybe to go above a Kemp, and honestly to go above a McGovern is probably what this team's really crying out for. If it's just bringing in Nick Haynes, I'm not sure that's enough. But yeah, I'd probably have him just below Kemp, because, and maybe because I've seen a few people are saying he's above Kemp, and he's probably very similar right now. But Kemp's so much younger, and I'll always prioritize the ceiling, the youth. And so that's why if I'm going to gun to my head having to play one each and every week, it's going to be Kemp for that reason. But yeah, it doesn't excite me too much, Pommy.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because I kind of have him here. I feel bad. I have him here.
Yeah.
But that's just because of seniority. But in an ideal world, if I was picking the team, I'd love it to be that.
I just don't know what Nick Haynes... I just don't know what Nick Haynes we're getting, because he hasn't really played senior footy in a couple of years. So that's my kind of concern on it. But I don't think... honestly, the band between Gov, Kemp, and Haynes, it's not a lot. There's not a lot between those guys right now. Which is my kind of concern when I look at it.
Can I just say, yeah, fucking hell. Dan Houston. And talking about Dan Houston, we are in the Dan Houston area, right?
Here we go.
And as you can see, we're not actually killing anyone in this either, as of yet. But chat, I want you to rank these guys and girls. So I'll leave this to you while Ian and me discuss this. But these are your medium, small defenders, and we average 5 of these. So, Ian, in that list, while chat throw their orders in, who's number 1 there?
It should be Sard. It should be Sard, but I'm not sure it is. And I honestly, I think I'd have Nick Newman at this stage ahead, which might be very controversial, but those, I'd have a gap between 1 and 2 being those 2, and then everyone else really. But I don't know. I just think Nick Newman's more consistent right now.
Yeah, you see, for me...
But Sard's more important to what we probably need to have.
I feel Newman's... In my opinion, I'm with you. I think Newman's miles the best one, which actually worries the shit out of me. Because
some of the little injuries with Sard, and I don't know if it's Sard or the way we're playing him, but we're not getting what we need to out of Sard, and I'm not sure we have over the last couple of years.
You know what, chat? As you throw it in, one thing I wanted just to alert you to is if you take their skill sets as footballers, right? He's kick heavy, right? Kick heavy, run and carry, kick heavy, run and carry.
Yeah.
Right? It makes no sense he's here. Like, bearing in mind, this was pick 8. And the game style we play isn't conducive to being a run and carry player off halfback. Because then when you do this, look, good kick, good kick, good kick, good kick, can't kick, but defense, can't kick, defense. It's like Sard's got lost at the Cowan Football Club and just happened to walk in and get a gig. It does worry me a little bit.
Yeah, I get that. I think it's harsh because I still think Sard's one of our better kicks in the team anyway. But I get what you mean. I think that's where maybe you do need a little bit of versatility, and it's nice to balance having a runner in that back half. But yeah, I'm not. Maybe you're correct in the system is not allowing, and how we're wanting to play just isn't suiting what Sard's bringing to the table.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's weird. Well, I mean, you could argue it, Sebastian. You'd be wrong, but I mean, like it's what he was drafted for. Which, to be fair, in open space when he does it targets. It's when we played him at fullback, it's come down. But looks like chat agrees that Nick Newman is the best unanimously, and Sard is the second best. Great to see Cowan getting my love. Bit of controversy here, but it looks like you've gone Boyd, Popom Cotter.
Ooh, interesting.
Then Chin Cotter, then Billy Wilson, and then Matt Carroll. That's what you guys do it. You see, this is now you see this. Is there anyone who's seeing that, having seen this, just show of hands, no right or wrong answer, but is anyone looking at this right now, right, and then doing this?
He's definitely number one. He's definitely number one. That's not even a topic for conversation.
Is anyone like seeing this and then going, "Oh, let's get Dan Houston"? Like, is anyone looking at that? Because somehow Dan Houston there makes this worse. Like my eyes now, because I'm like, how many fucking halfbacks have you got? And how is the depth here still shit?
No, I definitely agree with you on this. It's my kind of concern with the whole Dan Houston narrative. And look, if you're able to bring in Dan Houston, of course you want him. You want the best players in the competition playing for your club. The issue is that you also need other players in other positions. There's a salary cap. It's all about value. If we're able to bring in Dan Houston on decent wage and the value that we're giving up for him is closer to in our favor, then I like the addition of Houston. I don't want to overpay for a halfback flanker. I don't know any team that's won a flag or been super successful for a long period of time that has paid big for halfback flankers. They develop them. They find them elsewhere. They're able to turn other players from other clubs into these sort of role-playing position. If you need it, it makes me concerned about what we'd potentially give up for a guy like Dan Houston when, yes, he'd improve us, but is the jump in improvement in this position with Houston in there worth what we're giving up, that opportunity cost for not addressing other positions like key defender? That's my big worry with it all.
Yeah, it's why I'm definitely not on the Houston train per se. I understand it. He's a player of class.
And you've still got, Zach Williams, who you could theoretically throw into this as well. He's almost been nudged out due to Cowan playing some decent footy and Chincotta and Boyd being sort of serviceable down there. And I think we've got enough right now, unless it's value for me. That's where I'm looking at it. I think we have a lot bigger needs than what Dan Houston is, considering the talk is more than a first rounder. And it's going to hurt us making other things happen. I just think it's bizarre. But, I mean, I do love Dan Houston. The trade doesn't make sense for me.
Do you know what I mean? I agree with this comment as well. I think that you're going to have to play Chincotta as a full-time defender. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be fascinating. A lot of people saying Houston can play in the midfield. This is the biggest fallacy. I don't want to get into an argument, but it's what I said about Zach Williams when everyone was touching themselves about that. He's had less than 5% midfield time in the last 2 years. Boyd has played more midfield time than Houston in the last 2 years.
My issue with banking on this, it's like, well, we've done it again. So, oh no, I don't want to be in that position. And then the argument is, well, why isn't he playing in Port's midfield if he can play midfield? And evidently it's because, they've got a really tough midfield to break into. I'd say ours is basically the same thing. Hard to break into. Matt Kennedy's about to get offloaded because he can't break into it. I don't believe Dan Houston's any closer to get into there. I'd definitely be playing Kennedy over Houston. I'd be playing Doc over Houston in the midfield. So we're bringing him in as a halfback if we're bringing him in at all.
Yeah, and I think the difference with Dan Houston to Zach Williams is Dan Houston has never said he wanted to play mid. And I think Jacob Wheater nailed it. You want that exit out of halfback. And that's what I found interesting, his interview, because that's why I was trying to allude you to this, right? Do you know what I mean? This is very kick heavy, right? And everyone is obsessed with speed at the minute, but everyone forgets to talk about the sides. We've battered top 8 sides because we kick to space and we overload channels. So it should be interesting. Chris, Blue Bagger. Okay. Jeremy Cameron's that. Shall we just buy Jeremy Cameron as well? Because we've also got Harry and Charlie. You know what I mean? Let's bring in Grundy and Max Gorn to play with TDK. I understand. I'm not stupid. He's got all Australian, but
it's almost like if you're writing out all our list needs and things we need to address right now, how high is a halfback right now? I don't think it's high. It'd be fifth or so, and I just think that, I mean, I'm going a bit early on this, but you look at the draft and someone we could potentially bring in with that pick 11, and with Toby Travalia there, I would much rather use that pick on him, who can do a few other things, can kind of intercept as well, has the run, has the kicking skills. I'd rather invest in youth than pay for someone who, again, I'm being really harsh on Dan Houston, but at his age, going to be 28, are we going to get anything better than what we've seen? No. So I don't like buying players for max value when you're not going to get any higher than what we've already seen. I don't think that's smart business unless he's the last final puzzle piece to you winning a flag. And I'm happy to be proven wrong, but I don't think he's that right now.
Mate, I think he's a great player, but I mean...
one of my favourites outside of Carlton, for sure.
Like, do you know what I mean? I think he's a great player, but we've also... Good call as well, Lucas Camporelli. He is someone we're committed to. So, I mean, obviously, you know what's quite funny? We have to bring him in. But you know what? It's going to be fascinating. People saying Dan Houston's a goal kicker. He averages 0.2 goals a year. Shrek has a better conversion rate in revs. Right?
Jesus.
Hell.
Yeah. But looking at it as well, like you named you said Lucas. It's like, well, Ollie Hollins has played a little bit of halfback. Is there scope for, a Bins to play a lot more wing next year and Ollie Hollins goes into that halfback role? I think we're covered unless, as I said, we're getting a value pick there. I mean, Hawthorn turned basically D'Ambrosio into, almost all Australian kind of thing. This is what I'm talking about. I'd much rather find someone that can play these roles for cheap. I think that's Nick Austin's the best thing he has been able to do. Find a Blake Acres, find those kind of players. I'd much rather him do that with this list need right now.
Grant, I love you, mate, but let's just think about this as if we're sporty heads, right? Name me a club that just goes round buying halfbacks and going, you know what? We have an average position of the last 15 years of finishing 14th. Maybe clubs that finish in the top 4 every year don't know what the fuck they're on about. Will buy their halfback and play him half forward. Like, Carlton have got to humble themselves here a little bit and go, Elijah Hollins is the best pickup in the world because he wanted to play mid-forward, not pocket forward. And we bought him in to play mid-forward, and he's flourished. That's how we can't go in, because I'm telling you now, Port have asked for 2 firsts for a reason. Their draft class is South Australian heavy next year, which means they can get a future, and the draft class this year is really strong. They've got no reason to cut price, negotiate. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
Agree more.
But Grant, Chincotta played that role as a tagger from juniors as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? As a man who knows Chincotta, his tackling was one of his prowesses. So it's fascinating. Let's go on to inside midfielders because I'm going to cry. Goal kicking mid, Dan Newton. Fucking 6.2% midfield time. Let's rank the midfielders. So this is probably our strongest area when you look at the names, I think. There's no one on here that actually makes me scared.
Yeah,
which is
I like
rare.
it. It's a good prop.
But rank them, chat. But who are we going for our best inside mid?
Oh, it's got to be Mr. Breaking Records, making all the Collingwood supporters cry. Paddy Cripps.
I'm guessing chat will agree. I mean, I agree.
I'd actually love him to change his jumper number next year just to take the piss.
What Dacos is?
No, mate, straight to the amount of votes he got. What was it, 45? Chuck that on the back.
I thought for a laugh he'd change his name to Nick his number to Nick Dacos. You know what I mean? Like you know what? It's a shame he didn't win it on 35 votes, isn't it? Because it is Nick Dacos' number. That would have been funny. But let's have a look. We've got Cripps. See, I like that from Saz because I've got Hewitt second. Who's your second?
I've got Walsh. I think it has to be Walsh. I mean, it's tough because you said inside. If you're going purely inside, then it's Hewitt. But because you've classified Walsh in a list of players, I'm going Walsh on pure talent. But yeah, that'd definitely be my order. With scope for Chera to jump that if he can stay healthy.
I like it. I think I agree with you. I mean, this is a really interesting one, isn't it? Because I would say, right, I'd like to see another name here, to be honest. Like when I look at this, I'd like to see a kid here. Do you know what I mean?
Are we getting one as a father-son?
Yeah. I suppose he's an inside out, but he's not going to be.
Would you classify him way more out? Because I mean, he's so skinny, so he's definitely going to start outside. But I say he's weirdly. It's his skill set is more inside, but his body isn't inside. It worries me about Ben.
I feel like Ben Camporelli's going to be this to start with, mid forward.
Yeah,
in the VFL, and then when he gets 21, he comes here. I'd love to have, like, in an ideal world, it's never materialized, but Jack Carroll just hasn't become it. And he's now here. But I think we've all agreed on that, chat. It's just a shame Jack Carroll's bobbins, isn't it? Wingers. Yeah, Damien, I think Elijah definitely could go there. We can't do this as like where we think. We've got to do it on what we know now, and then we'll have that discussion if we can change. But outside mids, I think this one's fairly straightforward. But where are you going?
I think chat will be very much in agreement. Not throwing any curveballs. Blake Acres 1, Ollie 2, Bins 3, Carroll 4. Like Carroll's probably shown a little bit more, but I mean, off those couple of games for Bins, again, I'm going ceiling, and Jack Carroll just hasn't produced enough.
No, I agree. Ashton, I don't think. Like Ashton said in the interview, his spurts on the wing is purely to maintain his fitness levels. So we've tried to do it, and we've tried to do this based on if they haven't played where the club have played them. So like Matt Carroll, half forward, he's been predominantly played at half forward under Voss since after his first year. Which Elijah took over that role. People asking about JSOS. You're going to see JSOS in the key position where he trained before he got injured in the preseason. Sam Dockety's in the mid forward because Voss and his finals game, he played that Matt Cottrell role, which is why he's there. And Ashton is where he should be in that medium-sized half forward role. So we'll vote him in a minute. But no, chat agrees with you as well. So off we go to key forward. So here you are, Jack Silvani. This one should be a good little argument. But who are we going key forwards? So chat, here's your key forwards. Rank them in skill level. We have 2 to play with every year. This is going to be a good one. Charlie or Harry, pick your poison.
It should be Charlie. I want to pick Harry for versatility, but I think it has to be Charlie.
You are on the Pommy and Oz show.
I know. I'm about to get booted off if I say anyone else. I'm always at gunpoint sort of stuff on here. So
don't be scared, chat. Look, Damien and Sandra coming in hard. Zeno says they've gone hard. Harry's coming in.
I think the thing I would say is if Charlie had to play Harry's role as well, we'd probably be out here going, how good, Charlie is, and it's not even a debate because we know how well he can work higher up the ground, take those marks. Field kicking is elite. I mean, he's winning the Coleman medals. I think it has to be Charlie, but happy to be argued against.
Well, chat have overruled it.
It's a great debate to have.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Look, we're a democracy here. We're not North Korea. But yeah, Jesus, fuck it. I won't be able to look him in the eye. I won't even be able to. I won't even be able to look him in the eye at the BNF. I'm just gonna say sorry. Do you know what I mean? I'm gonna say sorry. The Rook. Are we agreement that TDK like that, is the best Rook?
Yeah, if you want to move the other 2 further down, feel free to.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Oh dear, I can't believe
this is tough.
Chat, I can't believe you've done that to me. Yeah, come on. That's got to be a bit of xenophobia that you don't like Poms, isn't it? No, none of you really believe Harry's. Okay, right. So, chat, we're going to have to do this one. This is going to be the hardest one, I think, to do. Right? Because honestly, in all due respect, I think that they all make me feel a little bit sick.
Yeah. No, there's not a real clear divide between them. I'd say maybe it's not even controversially. I think Fogarty's my number one off the basis that he's in my team ahead of everyone else. I wouldn't even question whether Fogarty's in this team. Everyone else, I'd be debating their spot, whereas at least he's a lock playing his defensive role. What do you think?
I agree. You see what makes me sick here, right? Is
Fogarty shouldn't be a number one small forward.
Yeah, well, you see, do you remember if you go back 12 months while I let you all vote it in, I said if this was the case, you were in a lot of trouble, which I think
just
it's
about
probably, I'd say it's probably, people are going to put Fantasia there, but I would actually say Voss likes Fantasia, right?
Yeah.
But I'd say that this top three here is probably statistically our best three, right? And I said if Matt Owens is your best forward, you're not using forwards properly. And I said borderline top 8. And where did we finish, right? Yeah. I actually think Matt Owens is our best small forward, but I'll caveat
that worries me.
He isn't a small forward. He plays like a medium-sized player.
Yeah.
He leads
he's
into
like a
Charlie
mark-up.
and Harry's space.
Yeah, he's trying to be Bailey Fritsch, but he doesn't have the height.
And then the next best is this guy because of his output, right? Because he tackles. But if you look at the defensive mid at a top 4 club, it should be this.
Yeah, you're meant to have your goal-kicking forward also be pressure, and you're not having to bring in a guy who doesn't necessarily kick goals just to be 100% pressure in that forward line. It is the worry, and even if you rank them however you want, I just don't know whether we've got the right balance of them. I don't even know who to play, who not to play. I just don't think the synergy's there, and it's no wonder our forward lines, apart from Harry and Charlie, has been the most difficult thing to find consistency with.
Yeah, you see, I think Zeno nails it. That's probably how I have them ranked in my head. Because even though I don't rate Owies, I think Owies should be the 3rd, 4th in this pile. I can't argue. He's kicked 30 sodding goals. Do you know what I mean? Even though they're not proper small forward goals, my fears are being aligned that it's not good enough. So, I think
my caveat to that, I know it was only one season, and he had a drop off this year with injuries, but Motlob kicked 24 last year in his 2nd season of AFL footy. I think I'd still have him over Owies because I'm a ceiling guy. I'll say that 1,000 times, but I think if their best seasons are so similar, Motlop can bring pressure and has a higher ceiling. I would tend to jump him above, but that's the frustrating part. It's not a clear and decisive gap between the two, and I think that's the issue. It should be.
You know what? Do you want to hear Pom's big call?
Jack Martin's still the best small forward we would have?
No, Matt Owens, when he goes to another club, doesn't ever kick 30 ever again.
Yeah. Don't doubt it.
You know what? There's a list manager I play golf with, and I spent an entire 18 holes slacking Matt Owens his ability off.
No, he's number 1, Pommy. What are you talking about? Be quiet. He's number 1. Mate, you don't get small forwards kicking 30 goals too often. Yeah. He's a jet. He's like your mark. He can play as a medium-sized forward, can play as a small, brings passion, energy.
And all I'll say is last week there was an article where he was linked to him, and literally when we next play golf, I'm going to be telling him Matt Owens is fucking Eddie Betts, bro. Okay, well, chat, we've done what you've done. And then we're on the mid forwards. This is going to be exciting because I think this one is a little bit harder. So you'll see two players here, which could be controversial, but why they're here, these are like Vosses. I haven't got a fucking clue what I'm doing with them. So, but he does play two of these players that heavily rotate. So you've got Sam Doherty, Matt Kennedy, Elijah, and Matt Cottrell. This one is the one that actually really excites me to see how you vote because I think this gives us so much options if this goes well. So, Ian, who are you going with?
I think Chad will hate me, but it's Holland's Cottrell, Doherty, Kennedy.
Ooh, he's gone dog third.
I'd honestly, I'd be close to having Kennedy over Doc as well. I don't know.
Oh, chat, he did it. He did it. I love it. I love it. You know,
a third ACL, not dynamic. Matty Cottrell had a tough year with injury that pretty much stuffed his preseason, injured again. You write it off. Season before, really, really strong, particularly the back half. Super vital in how he played with a bit of run, bit of dash, being a marking option. What's Doc's strength right now? And I love him and I want to see him play football, but I just don't know what the player is and where his skill set fits in with us. Doesn't have amazing pace. Foot skills are fine. I don't know what, like, goal kicking's okay. Like, I just don't know what his speciality can be going forward. And if I'm looking at bringing two of these players in, I'd pick the leg speed and run of Cottrell over Doherty right now.
Mate, honestly, you're preaching to the choir. It looks like chat have had my answer. Because if I was ranking it, honestly, I'd say this.
Interesting.
If I was doing it, I'd say that. And I'm quite happy he's out of there for one reason. Because he's not a fucking mid-forward. There's value there. And I can find any idiot to do it. But chat, you have gone Holland's. Yeah, so it looks like you guys have gone Holland's, Cottrell, Kennedy.
Yeah, I'm going to be really harsh on Kennedy. I said this at the end of our season review, and I'll be saying it more as we go towards the list management side of things. But Kennedy right now, he's behind so many in the midfield. We're shoehorning him into forward positions as a key forward, small forward, medium forward, halfback. I would much rather us bring in a player who's designed for that role rather than having to bring in Kennedy and force him to play this role. Get someone whose skill set suits it rather than, well, Kennedy's a decent footballer, so let's put him in here in square peg round hole just to beef out the squad. I think we can do better and bring someone in who has an element of their gameplay that we don't currently have in this squad. And right now, we kind of have a bit of Matt Kennedy.
Mate, I agree with you. I mean, little interesting game here then, chat. Right, so we've played this game. So a good way to look at list management, if you look at how top teams go, is generally they kill players and bring younger versions of them to learn. Or they kill players from a position of depth where they've got too many and bring in players in. So if we play that game, right, that would say need a backman, right?
Yeah.
If we played that game. And then it's actually quite good if you actually play it, because look, then you've got Ben Camper, right? Lucas. Right? So that would say you'd have to kill another.
Yeah, Matt Carroll probably gets killed.
Right. And then you would say that Ben Camporelli probably starts here. Right?
Yeah.
So then you would probably argue Lucas played defensive halfback and wing. Did they just put him there? right? Which would then say you need a small forward.
I'd say talent.
Right?
Like there's a lot of them, but talent-wise, you need something.
Yeah. I mean, and then you're probably looking at, technically he's not really on the list.
Doesn't count.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you'd say Orazio. I thought Nick Austin made a very interesting point at the start of the year that this was a culture training standard signing, which says to me the club's fucked up, right? And it says to me that someone on that list has either not been fit, looking at you, kidder, right?
Yeah.
That has made Orazio play the whole season, right? Ashton has been a revelation. Yep, Tyson Gresham, he's an NGA next year, though. Zonk still, not this year. So that would say to me that just on this alone, Carlton need that. But I'm quite happy with that. So let's go and take our... We've got Nick Haynes, right? Let's go and take our juvenile delinquents, the guys we've all agreed to get rid of,
Goodbye.
onto the trade table, and let's see what we can get for these guys, right? So if we take these boys here, welcome to the trade sheet, right?
This is huge.
So, chat, talk to me. Lewis Young, what are we looking to get for Lewis Young?
We give Lewis Young and a 3rd round pick and receive not having Lewis Young on the list anymore. Could you imagine if a team did that? They just went, we don't want anything back. Just here you go.
Hey, mate, I love it. It's
probably a 4th,
well, let's have a look.
I would imagine.
Right?
What? Because who's after him? Yeah, here we go. This is what I like.
What you've got here is you've got the rounds. So 2 first, Michael.
He's contracted. He's contracted.
Mate, if someone offers 2 first to Lewis Young, fuck me. I will be his personal servant for a year. How was that? Right? Yeah. I'll quit being a husband and a dad, and I will be his personal maitre d' for a year. But let's have a look. So when people say a 4th round, this is the 4th round, right? So they have no list value.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to put this to you, chat. Let's play a different game. This is going to be fun. Which clubs do these suit? So Lewis Young, name me 2 football clubs you think could use Lewis Young today.
Yeah. Northern Bull Ants, potentially. No. In all seriousness.
Can we trade them?
Maybe North, I think, has been the one that's been linked. But I feel like they've got, to be harsh, they've got a lot of not very good key defenders already. So, yeah, he's maybe a bit more mature. I genuinely cannot see a team that would be that interested. So I'd really love to see and hear yours and the chat's opinions on this. I can't find a buyer myself. Because I wouldn't buy him if I was another club. I'd rather just invest in the kid.
I was with Zane here. Zano. I think if I was Richmond...
Not bad, actually.
They've got loads of kids, old or dying people. Get him in. It gives them chance to let their youth grow with Noah Bolter. And I think North, Jesus, they've got Toby Pink on there.
Yeah. He improves them. They've just got so many guys like that right now.
Do you know what I mean? So let's have a look. So West Coast as well, I think is a very valid point. They definitely need a bit of depth. Definitely need someone because they've lost half a senior list. So if you look, let's just use all these teams. So this is just so you know how hard this is, right? of what we've got. We'll play this game, right? So you've got these here, right? And North Melbourne, right? So so Eagles, these are the picks they've got. They've got 3, they've got 23, and they've got 59, right? And then Richmond have got like they've got some good picks, but they've got 1, 21, 29, 39, 41, 40. Jesus, how many fucking picks have these guys got?
They'll have more soon.
Yeah. Right, 56 and 72, right? And then North, they don't have a lot, but they have picks that I think are interested, right? Let's have a look at what we can do with these picks, because I'm going to put this to you. Let's just say North Melbourne wanted, because North Melbourne have been linked with Matty Owens as well, right? So they've had a bit of interest for Matty Owens and Lewis Young. Would you, in chat, do pick 40 for both of them?
I think I would. I'd definitely do it. Like Matt always right now, the issue is out of contract. We've kind of shown our hand in not offering him a contract, so his value is low. We obviously can re-sign him, and it wouldn't surprise me if something happens and, you know, he'd be happy to come back into the fold. But showed your hand with that one. Lewis Young, I don't think you're getting... Like 40 could potentially be a hard sell with Owens with the lack of value. So throwing in Lewis Young, I think that's pretty sound.
You see, I've looked at this as well. 22. Could we get 22?
If you offer something else, a pick?
Yeah, but what will that be? Because these are Carlton's picks. So I'm going to play a little game with you for Carlton's picks. Just so you know, all them picks there would equate to a pick in the 30s for Ben Camporelli. So if you think about it, that's what Carlton have got to play with.
Yeah.
In reality.
I think that's also my kind of query on this is, do we need to be bringing in picks in the 20s? If there is a bid, then that could, before our pick, then all of a sudden that gets absorbed and we've kind of done it for nothing. And I know that's kind of silly again, but if you add in more of those other picks, is there a better, what's the best chance of being able to use a second rounder before the Ben bid comes in?
I don't think you'll see a bid, honestly, on Ben Camporelli before Carlton's second pick.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't see it. I think Carlton will have that pick. So, I mean, what are we thinking? I don't think, because I think when you're looking at Lewis Young, you're probably looking at these picks here. And you're probably looking at these picks here.
100%.
Which, if you go down to this table, and this is a really good way, I always tell people, don't look at the real value, look at the discount value. Look. It's not worth anything.
But I guess you could argue that the whole reason we're potentially moving him is not to get picks, but to free up a list spot to bring in a draftee, to bring in someone in the trade. But we'd need to be bringing in another key defender. So that'll be the interesting aspect of that.
Because Matt Kennedy, what are we looking, chat and Mr. Ian? What would you want for him?
Great question. I mean, late second would be incredible. You might have to give something as well, but I think late second, early third is definitely par. Just depends who's interested, I think.
30, 40, because you look at the ranges here of picks. Like, these are the clubs that are in your range of picks, per se.
Yeah. Like Saints, there's potential interest, but that pick 43 is gross. Pies would just be flat out refuse that. Who else could be interested? Geelong, maybe pick 35, potentially makes a bit of sense. Who else do you think could be? Melbourne 38, maybe.
You see, Melbourne makes sense to me. I
Yeah.
think of all the clubs here, and when you look at what Melbourne have talked about in the draft,
Well,
I look at Melbourne's picks and I go,
is this where
pick
Owies
5,
gets
they're
into
going to
it as
get
well?
best available, right? They're going to get best available. Then they get someone to protect him that's not Jack Viney. But because 38-45, that pick there is going to be a key, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I reckon they're going to take Armstrong too early.
It wouldn't surprise me. One club will. They need a key forward. Jefferson hasn't really done a lot just yet.
So this would say they've said quite openly they want midfield depth.
Well, that'd be the smart move.
Would you accept 38?
I think I would.
Because I
yes.
genuinely would.
I would, yes. If we're adamant we're moving him and he's below in the depth, yes. And then, once you get some of these picks, is this when you can maybe start to trade up one of your selections, our second round pick? Can we use that to get a little bit higher up there and still keep the rest of the points? That's the interesting component to it. But yeah, I think 38 makes a lot of sense.
Okay, chat, shall we lock Melbourne, just as this example, is 38?
Is there scope, they're potentially after some small forwards as well, is there scope to bundle in Owies into this and get something else as well?
Well, we could do. We'll see what
to go crazy, go mega trade.
Right? Because Carroll, you all agreed, was like in the 4th, right?
Yeah.
So let's say it's 59. Or, better still, let's say Jack Carroll, right, is, right, Carlton negotiate a deal, future 3rd, right, that. Which could be here next year.
I think that's a smart option.
It gives Carlton some steak knives. Let's just say they do that, right? Let's say this guy, we just delist free up rookie A, right? So that means now, oh, look, we've got 4 list spots.
Ooh.
So
exciting.
These are the 2 that we're arguing on, right? But if you look at Carlton's picks, right, suddenly now, right, we are in a pretty sexy place because Carlton would have
38 as well.
Right? So we would have some pretty... Tell you what, let's make this more uniform because it's going to annoy me. I've got OCD, chat. I've got a bad case of it. I've got a bad case of it if something looks out of place. But let's just... I love the fact Carlton have got pick 69 and it won't be pick 69 come the draft.
I feel we've done this a few times.
Yeah, it makes me sad that we're going to be trading that away. But let's just say these are our picks, right? Why have I spelled Carlton like that? There we are, right? And then we would also have... We'd have future first, future second, right? Future second, future third.
Future thirds. How's this?
Right? We'd have a future 4th. Right? And then we'd have a future 5th, right? 5th. Right. So suddenly, right, we have now opened this up that Carlton have picked 38 as well, right? So now what we've got is this is looking quite healthy because I think the pick range, Zeno, to answer your question, is probably a 3rd, 4th. I reckon if you future it, you get a bit more money. You get a bit more money because it doesn't stop West Coast. Look at West Coast picks there. I think 59's unders.
Yeah.
But I think they'd be happy to go, okay, cool. We get 2 picks next year anyway because they've got 2 first years next year. They're like, a future 3rd, we're not going to use it in the stage of a rebuild. So You have it, Carlton. And we hope they finish shit. So let's have a look. This leaves us with these two people, right? Do you know what I mean? We've got to trade up, right, to go in here. So I would be looking at this situation of teams that have... These are the most interesting team here, Gold Coast, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Because Lombard is somewhere here.
And even, I know it probably doesn't work for us in this scenario, but if you end up with a few picks, if you maneuver way too much and have a few sort of 20s picks, is that going to be better for Brisbane with pick 17 as well?
Well, you see, Brisbane are fascinating because if this bid comes in here, right, Brisbane, just to show you it, let's just say pick 2 is Ashcroft, right?
Could be.
That's what they've got to find, Brisbane, right? That's what Brisbane have got to find, right? And if you do the maths of what Brisbane own, it's not great, look, because they've got 3 picks in this draft. If you have a look at what Brisbane own, right, it's actually Vomtown. Right? It's actually Vomit. Look.
Yeah.
So they're 800 picks short, which incidentally, chat, if you look here, 31 and 38 don't possess that value though. So when people are linking us with that pick, the problem for Brisbane is 31 and 38 don't help them out.
Yeah.
Like Brisbane are going to have to trade futures for someone's pick, which I think is... I wouldn't be surprised to see a deal here with North Melbourne.
North's got a good pick.
I think North Melbourne are going to get a few picks. Or St Kilda. I could see St Kilda being involved because of their battle comp being a little bit later than expected, which means they won't get 2 bites of the cherry. They might come to the party and say, tell you what, let's put it back next year. But I do look at Gold Coast here, and it's funny the media has stolen my idea because I suggested this pick here. It is an interesting pick because these 2 picks here, the Lombard at the moment is gaining traction. So last month he was here. He's now here.
Yeah, top 10.
Surely. I wouldn't be surprised that this guy here, Mr. Stephen Silvani, has indicated they're going to be dickheads because they have been dickheads before, right? I wouldn't be surprised they're worried about that, which makes 12 worthless to them, but also it makes pick 6 worthless to them as well. I reckon Gold Coast trade both of these picks out at some point. And 12 could be an interesting one because next year, when you look at what they've got quite a few Queensland talent that's not even linked to their academy. They're one of the few clubs that'll benefit, but they've still got a plethora of points here, Gold Coast, to play around with as well, because it's expected that pick 6, I think you'll find pick 6 goes to Richmond in a deal. I think it could be something like 6, 21, and 29 and something else.
It's going to be interesting. The one worry that's also been thrown around with that pick 12 is obviously Collingwood want it. They don't have a first round pick this year due to the Lockie Schultz deal. Noble wants to go to them, and there's word that, like us, they're looking to trade a future first. But in this case, they're going future first and Noble for that pick 12. Would that complicate what we could potentially give them and our position in that trade? Obviously, we'd like to do this deal, but how realistic is it if there's a few clubs battling it out, Pobby?
You know who I don't think we get 12 because I think the deal for Gold Coast and Collingwood is easy. I think it's give us pick 12, we'll give you Noble, and we'll give you 33. And I reckon you'll see it. Gold Coast are like the dogs in this situation. They genuinely sell their picks for unders.
Mm.
And then I think you've got a problem.
I hate it.
I think you've got a problem. I actually think pick 6 is more attainable. In my honest opinion, I think you could do pick 11 for pick 6 and a swap of thirds and fourths.
That'd be incredible. That would get me excited, Pommy.
And I think then they'd use pick 11 in something else. But you'd have to do a 3-way trade. But I think there would be a scenario that exists that Carlton could increase that. But the problem is, remember, and this is what people forget about down Houston, why we had to overpay for Adam Sard. While that pick is owned by Carlton, Port are asking for that pick. So
we've got to do the Gold Coast deal after potentially bringing in Houston.
It's fascinating. The rumors are pick 6, but the pick 6 will be a lot of back-end work. Like people saying pick 6 for Rioli straight up. They're off their tits. There is no chance that'll happen. And if it is, there'll be complaints because that's well over any estimate for Dan Rioli in the history. There'll be something back end. But
so does then 11 make more sense to them in that sense?
Well, yeah. I mean, you'd have to get in. I think you could get a 3-way trade going. It's tough because I think Fremantle here aren't going to the draft. That's for the fact that they've got these picks says to me they're trying to get in here or they've got their eye on a player.
Yeah, Bolton, Richmond want 2 firsts for him. It'd be interesting to see if that happens, but
because I could see a world where Carlton trade a future first for some of Richmond's picks. Because I also think Richmond are going to have a lot of picks. And in this draft, potentially, let's just say this happens, which I think is very likely. I think Richmond do end up with 6 and 12. They'll
get one of those from Freo as well for Bolton.
Yeah, I think there'll be a few things going on in the background, right? You do the maths here. Richmond don't need that many picks in this draft.
No.
They need to spread it. So I could see 21 and 29 suddenly being up for grabs. And I could see a world that Carlton go future first, 21 and 29. What do we think of that, chat? If you did that, Carlton did a future first for 21 and 29, which, if you actually do the maths, right, 21 and 29 are worth 15.31, right? If Carlton, they're banking on Carlton finishing 8th to 10th to make that work.
Yeah, I guess, and this is just complicating this even further. My one big worry with trading a future first for Houston or just anything in general is one of our biggest needs, I would say, is key defender. And there's 2 beautiful key defenders out of contract next year, Alir and De Koning. I would hate for us to maneuver everything to bring in Houston or get more picks in this year's draft before Ben Camperale, and all of a sudden we're not in that conversation next year. Now, it's tough to start to preempt these things because there's a chance you miss out on those players and Dan Houston, and then, well, what was the point in holding on to all your picks in the first place? But that's where I am a little bit more tentative to just start throwing those future picks away, given I'd be wanting to use those in some other deals instead.
I agree. And let's just say, Carlton also sent the future third, right? Because North are going to have a lot of picks, right? Let's say Carlton also had let's say Carlton did that, which I think is genuinely, I think this is the trade. I actually think you get pick 40 for Matt Owens. I think, and then if you look at what Brisbane have got, look at all the picks. They're all around that. So it's either a future pick, a future second, or it's a pick this year. So let's just say it's a future second. Let's say Brisbane, right? Let's say Brisbane are mental enough to give us a future second. Which I think is a lot of money. But
yeah,
if you can get it, you can get it. Right? Let's say that's what it looks like. Carlton maybe could do this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then maybe Carlton could do this to even the trade out.
What would you be ideally wanting to do with the 21 and 29?
Well, I mean, suddenly, if we did that, let's just say these are the picks we've got, right? And then we come to our, if we come to our in and out, right? So we have sold, let's do this. Let's make this all sexy. We've sold Matt Kennedy, right? We sold Matt Kennedy and we got 38 in from whoever it was. Who did we get 38 in from?
Melbourne.
So we sold him for 38 from Melbourne. Where are you? Dirty Demons, right? So we did that, right? Lewis Young, let's keep him, right? We couldn't get any value, right?
I like it.
So Lewis Young, we've kept. So that makes that 35, right? Matt Owens, right? We sold for a future second to Brisbane. So Brisbane, future second, right? Jack Carroll, we sold future third, West Coast Eagles, right? And then we did a trade with Richmond for 21 and 29. We sold our future second and our first, right, to Richmond, which suddenly gives us quite a healthy Arsenal, right? And then Sam Durden, we just delisted him, freed it on there, right? Suddenly we've got quite a healthy little stock here, I think, right? Because then Carlton would have all of this to use.
Yeah.
Right? 299 from Travis, big Brisbane fan. Why were Lions won? Why
would they want him?
Lions
why do they want the Owies?
Oh, I agree with you. I don't think they want. I mean, I can understand. I think it's a point of difference for you. You've got the generals there, but I reckon that's probably what Carlton are looking for, futures. But for the circus of this...
Is it the Lincoln McCarthy spot?
Probably. But let's do this, look. Then we'll play with these picks. Ben Camper, right? That's all of these picks eaten up, right? That's all of them picks eaten up. I reckon Ben Camperelli would be all of them, right? 69 is Jordan Boyd rookie promotion, right? So then if you look at this, we've got 3 picks to play with, 3 list spots.
Interesting.
So what I'm proposing is I reckon what Carlton might do in this scenario is this is option 1 for you to vote. Option 1 is, you're going to love this. Option 1 is 11 and a future second, right? For Dan Houston. All right. Dan Houston. I reckon that's probably what Carlton will be looking to do, right? Or it's take pick 11. And I've got the perfect player for you, chap.
Yeah. See, in this scenario, this is where I get a little bit more excited in if we're giving up pick 11, because I am vehemently against giving up pick 11 for Dan Houston. I hate the sound of it. There's a lot of talent in this draft. It's why there's all the stories you hear that we don't want to give pick 11, and we're very strong on that. But if we somehow manage 21 and 29, I know they'll get pushed out with a lot of bids and father-sons and compo picks and all of that. But if we were able to get those two, I would be so much more inclined to trade 11, because you're still going to get talent that fits needs in those roles with this year's depthy draft. But if we were just keeping what we kind of had to an extent, then that's where I would not be looking to move that 11. So I think this scenario is definitely a lot more exciting.
Well, I mean, let's have a look at what you could maybe steal from this. If you go on the Pommy rankings, you're going to like this, right?
Yeah.
You know what? You know what could actually happen? Because
Joe.
I think these will fall.
Oof. I mean, that'd be spicy. That'd be interesting.
Like, you could actually, I mean, you could actually even get more sexy if you wanted. Do you want to get really sexy?
Yeah.
But you could
go
do
for
this.
it, Pommy. Ooh. Yeah,
but
I'm so against Christian, but
no, but this here, players that are around this selection,
yeah,
you could get that. So you could get goal kicking mid, you could get a Paddy Dow clone, or you could get another goal kicking mid. You could get Matt Whitlock, project key forward. And you could get Joe Berry, an out-and-out goal-kicking forward.
Is there scope, and I'll throw this back out there, for us, we still use the pick 11. I'm going crazy with it, but why not? And then, 21 and 29 get bunched together for that Brisbane pick to get even a little bit higher up there. And obviously they give us something back, but in a future sense. But
well,
is that something you maybe want to get an even better player in this if we are giving up that 11?
Well, let's do that. If you did that, Brisbane, right? Brisbane, that's how much their pick is worth. And then we said, what, 21 and 29?
Yeah.
Right? And they were 500 short, if I remember correctly. That is 498 more than that. So, with that. Sarah, Lucas, you don't. Lucas, the bid will come in about the 30s. So, Cowton's last picks. Lucas Camporelli will fall to the rookie draft. He's not in the top 60 talents in the country. So, Cowton have deliberately, they were one of the big teams that did it. Right? So, here we are. Look, there's that rookie A spot we've freed up. Right? We've freed up that. Good call, actually. Good question, because I forgot about him. Right. So there we are. Okay. So now you're spot on. I actually reckon that's the deal. I reckon you could do that. 17 knocks it down and we get 17. So if we change that.
Exciting for me.
Look, here we are. Right. Let's
11 and 17. So give me that, please.
And we get pick 17. So that means we would go to the draft with them picks. And then
we have 2 list spots. Is that left with that?
Well, then
was it 3?
You do this, don't you? 11 future second, Dan Houston.
Yeah.
Right? No Joe Berry. But what do you want? Goal kicking forward. You know what? There's an outside chance Joe Berry's there, but you have got Taj Horton, Jesse Detoli, Tom Gross.
It'd be a reach, but you've also got, Hannaford's there as well as another small.
It could be.
Depends who kind of floats around this as well. You never know who could sort of drop on the day, on the night.
I think Hannaford might do. I genuinely do. I think that's one of them hypes that the media has created. But let's just say that's Jesse Datoli.
I'd like Datoli. I like Datoli.
Right. Let's say he's in there, right? Then 30, that 30, I think is interesting because you know who I think that could be? Right? I think it could be Noah Mraz.
Yeah. I do really like Noah. Where do you have currently one of the absolute greats? He's probably a lot further down than that, but the son, or I believe he's the son of the great Carlton lawyer, big Harry O'Farrell.
Oh,
because I just want to, I almost just want him on the list for the sake of. Could you imagine Cripper walking in on the first day? That'd be incredible.
What? And him saying you better play me, otherwise my dad's going to suspend you. Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, you've got two options here.
Hot.
I mean,
Noah Mraz is hot. I want that.
I mean, let's play the game. Let's play the game, right? No, but let's play the game, right? The big point of difference of these players, right, is you've got this guy is right? He's 198 centimeters.
So Voss hates him.
And this guy's 196.
That's why I'm excited by it. Especially Mraz at that pick. Big Jason.
Do you know what I mean? So, well, I mean, you could do pick 17 and future first, but Ben's nailed it. Remember, because of the matches, your points come down. This is one of the rules people forget, that once that's been matched, you don't get the value for that if you're the next pick. So if Brisbane were to trade, Carlton's pick, let's just say it was 1,025. Once you've had Lombardo, Ashcroft, your pick's actually worth that on the day. So they do take that into account. That's why I said I think Carlton won't trade pick 11 until they get another first in. But who would you rather have, chat? We're going to go with a key position player. Would you rather have Noah Mraz at 198? Probably the big point of difference between the two, in my opinion, is Noah is better on one. Harry's better at intercepting.
I think it's Noah for me. I think he's a lot better talent. I have Mraz rated a lot higher than Harry right now.
Yeah, I do as well. There's like about 12 points. I think Harry's a lock, though, at this pick. What odds? I'd say 7 out of 10, Sosa. Well, no, Carlton will have to trade a pick very early.
Mm.
Well, let's just say that's it. So let's see what that looks. Let's just say it's Mr. Mraz, right? Right. Let's look at these ins. So we've got to bring these ins in, right? Let's bring them in. So We're on about you can't do multiple select. You will do as I say.
Not in a straight line, Pommy. Excel can't handle
it. So let's bring these players in, right? So we've brought in, right, Jesse. We've brought in Noah, right, and we've brought in Ben and Lucas, right? Ben and Lucas, right? I'm looking forward to this because I reckon our list is going to look sick, to be honest, right? So we brought in Ben and we brought in Lucas, right? And we brought in, look at that, right? Dan Houston, right?
It's good. That is a good couple of
Jesse's a small forward. So let's just say we brought in Jesse Datoli. Where do you think he's going to be? Like, where does he have to be? Where does he have to be, in your opinion, for him to walk into this club? Like, he has to be sixth, doesn't he?
Yeah, 5th or 6th. I think saying he's ahead of Durden already is maybe going a bit far, but you'd hope he's at least over Fantasia right now. And you'd be wanting to get games into him to a degree if he's performing. So, yeah, I'd say at minimum there.
So let's just say he's there, right? I mean, then Ben Camporelli, I think he's going to start here. So 5th is where people are saying in chat. Let's say Ben Camporelli comes in. I'm quite happy for him to stay 4th and just work in VFL, right? Then Noah Mraz, I'm quite happy for Noah Mraz to be there.
That excites me a lot more. It's the one thing we don't have on our list, and we haven't for a while, is that next, like you want in every position to have the next developing player. Key back, we haven't had that. There's no one else coming through to support Wiedering. If you're bringing in Haynes, who's 33, you must bring in a developing player underneath.
And then I'm like quite happy to have Lucas there.
Yeah.
Right. And be a wing. And then look at this, right? Suddenly.
Now I'm happy we got Houston.
Right? Do you know what I mean? And what we haven't talked about there, right, is that we've suddenly, because we've done that. So we had the 34, right? We've brought in 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. We've killed a rookie A, brought one in, right? So we've still got, if we wanted to, no, that 37, yeah. Okay, so we have filled the list out. So if there was, so we've literally filled the list out, right? We filled the list out, and I think we've created really good depth.
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, there's even, this is going a bit way too early, but we've seen Billy Wilson when they drafted him that they said eventually they'd hope he can, develop into a midfielder. So is there scope that he can even be a bit more of that sort of inside-outside midfielder as well as be that depth off halfback? I think you'd ideally want to start him halfback and developing him there. But if you're worried about any midfield depth, losing a guy like maybe Jack Carroll and Kennedy that can play those roles, Wilson, Hollins, Doherty kind of boost that up a little bit more.
Do you know what I mean? I agree with you. I think there's got to be some development. I mean, the only thing I'm against here is I don't still think we need him, right? And
yeah,
it would be great if at some point this season, let's just say this happened, right? If this had happened, there was talk like we were talking about Billy Wilson playing as an inside midfielder. Like if this is what that looked like before we did this exercise, and you said Dan Houston was coming in, I'd be like, oh, okay, this is good, right? But the problem is that is actually the list.
Yeah.
And
so
that's something we've got to do with.
So what would then be the other alternative? Because it felt like that was option one, and the other one would be we keep pick 11, bring in Joe Berry, and then did you say then instead of Mraz and Dottoli, they're the Whitlock brothers?
Yeah, one of them was the Whitlocks, and then one was Dottoli. But that would look like this. So Joe Berry. And
now
then
all of a sudden, Joe Berry he's almost close.
Like I would say Joe Berry would fit here.
Yeah, agreed. If not higher, to be honest.
I mean, I could actually see Joe Berry, in all honesty, year one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Ashton's playing more that high half forward.
And Berry's pressure
I could actually
almost helps take... Yes. Oh, I was going to say you can almost see Fogarty drop out.
End of year being this.
Yeah, I mean, I could almost see if Berry keeps bringing that pressure and Hunt, that maybe if you've got Moya kicking goals, if you've got Williams kicking goals, how much do you need a Fogarty that's just bringing pressure if the rest as a collective are doing that and adding something else? The scope for that forward line, as disrespectful as it is to usurp Fogarty. Someone steps up and brings everything, not just the tackling.
Mate, I agree with you. And I mean, if we go to the trade sheet, like, let's just say this doesn't happen, right? So then we still have these picks. This is going to be really, really interesting for me because Sam de Koenig's mentioned, and you know what? Genuinely, full caveat, I don't believe it because it was Kane Corn saying if he was list manager, he'd be throwing whatever you pay at Dan Houston at Sam de Koenig, which I had a laugh at because a key defender is the second hardest position to draft, right? That plays in the league, aside from a ruckman. That's how hard they are to find. It's how hard to find. So whatever the price is for Dan Houston, right? Let's say Dan Houston's 2 firsts. Sam de Koning is off the bat 2 firsts. No negotiations. No change. No nothing. Because you look at the ones that are cheap, they're out of contract. And when people say, oh, but Pommy's out of contract next year, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. Like, they look at the prices Geelong get for players out of contract. They're the best list manager in the world. So I'm telling you right now, these two here, if you ring Geelong up, pick 11 and a future second for Sam de Koenig, all you hear is this. Boop, 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 as he hangs up.
I couldn't agree with you more. The only way we're getting Sam de Koning is if he's still unhappy and for whatever reason not breaking into their side next year. Geelong have said they're not trading him. I think that'd be silly too because, you know, you look at, they're still good footballers, but Lachyjack's 29, you know, Henry's in that peak age there, but de Koning's the future. They know that. They're not just wanting to get rid of him. They have a year to fix any issues, and I think it's been blown up anyway. De Koning got injured and then couldn't break back into a really strong side. It's nothing against de Koning. He got injured at the wrong time. He gets a preseason. He's starting next year. Unless something happens like similar where he, you know, maybe Geelong win the flag next year and he misses out and he gets pissed off, then potentially. But yeah, not this season. It's not going to happen.
And you've got to remember this. This is another rumor that's on Twitter. He's never been a ruckman. Like Chris Scott came out quite openly and said that it was a one-off. They see Toby Conway as their full-time ruck next year. They've got a very good young ruckman in Mitch Edwards who's playing nicely in VFL. So that one, like he and Chris Scott, unlike any coach, few coaches do this, admitted he got it wrong and said that Sam should have played in the final. He'll never know, but he said maybe we got it wrong. So I think he's very much a required player. And yeah, I'm telling you now, brothers playing together isn't a thing. And trust me, if I was a list manager, I'd question a full-grown man saying I wanted to play with my brother. That's not the kind of shit I want on my list.
Yeah, no, the one I'd be more interested in, and again, it's a next year move, which is why that future pick is worrying me, is Lachyjack being out of contract. That is a defense that they have signed up everyone long-term. Himmelberg, Buckley, Taylor. Makes it a lot harder for him to get that spot. GWS would be dumb to get rid of him, but they've almost, to a degree, put themselves into a corner there with all their key defensive talent. If he wants to play, he says he's going to be playing next season for him and then, you know, find out when he's uncontracted. But I'd be wanting him over de Koning regardless. And it just depends. If we put ourselves in the position and get Dan Houston and could have had a Lear, I'll be very, very upset.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, like I forgot as well in our ranking, we forgot to have Lewis Young because we didn't trade him in our scenario. We had no takers. Like, even though we don't need him, Sosa, no, I don't think he is. I really don't think he is best 18. I think he's definitely a backup.
He replaces Marchbank's spot for me.
Yeah, like I genuinely think, even though I disagree with Dan Houston, I think it's happening. If this happens and they get 21 and 29, as we've proved, you can fulfill list requirements quite quickly in the draft, because the keys are a bit later in this draft, and that's where Carlton are. And I don't think Carlton need... Sam de Koning and Lee Kalia for me are just absolute fucking pipe dreams.
Do you think there'd be any chance next year if, again, it's so much speculation because he'd have to be unhappy, he'd have to want to leave. Is he someone that you could be able to bring in picks-wise and salary cap-wise?
I will say this. I think we're in a similar position to Hawthorn. And I remember doing Hawthorn's list analysis last year, and every Hawthorn person in the comments was like this, but Pom, we need a key defender. Sam Frost is shit. And I was like, I agree, but Sam Frost is AFL standard, right? You're overpaying when maybe next year you could target one of the boys out of contract, with my exact words. You get yourself in a good position, and then you target them with a salary. And look what's happened. They've not got one, they've got two. So I would say, if you look next year at Sam de Koning, finish top 4, play some good football, keep Lewis Young to protect Wheatering. You're already playing the Mitch McGovern and Kemp role. You're already playing it undersized anyway. That's how your system is. Do it again.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you bring in Noah Mraz. You bring in Noah Mraz or someone like that and go, look, if we do bring in SDK next year, we can then sell Lewis Young, because we've got a year early on a defender, and we do need another young defender because we've already got rid of Sam Durden in this scenario. So for me, that makes the best sense. Like, don't over... I would say, in my opinion, it's more stupid playing 2 firsts for Sam de Koning now.
Yes.
Going back to my Hawthorn logic, when maybe next year you can tempt him over with another year of him being in and out of the side. And suddenly you have what he's going to cost you 2 firsts today, costs you $850K up front. And he walks.
And you got the option, like, again, it's more just playing fanciful, but you've got, you know, Aaliyah there as another one out of contract. So now all of a sudden a few options potentially open up, rather than at the moment no one's out of contract. What, Adam Tomlinson's the guy to go for as an out of contract player? Like, that's kind of it's the strange thing. If we are getting rid of Durden, if you get rid of Lewis Young, well, who does come in? Because Nick Haynes isn't enough. Then just bringing in bringing in Mraz, that still leaves you one short, in my opinion. So then what would you even look at doing in the key defensive stocks? Do you see us, if we move both of them, bringing in Haynes, a youngster, and another?
Well, I mean, I think when you look at who you've got here, Nick Haynes is the best signing here.
Yes.
Because it means, and Travis, I love it when we have a good clubbing chat. Spot on. Carlton fans are looking at key defensive players and key forwards like there's some kind of top 10 secret. The great clubs draft players when they've already got them, and we've already got them, right? We've already got Wheater in, and now we brought Nick Haynes in, who is probably the best interceptor before interception was a thing. So he still remembers how to do that. I personally keep Lewis Young. You've got Lewis Young to protect Wheater in, and you've got Brodie Kemp, and I would say Lockie Cowan, similar dimensions to Kemp, potentially, if it all goes wrong anyway, with Mitch McGovern. But to be fair to Mitch, he's played nearly 40 games in 2 years. He's quite good. I think Sam Durden, to answer Walsh's question, is purely because Carlton are trying to ascertain what happens with Lewis Young.
Yeah.
Because as you saw, when we killed him and it was Sam Durden, everyone was sick. Now that looks quite healthy. And you know what? Even though I'm not a fan, if you do bring in Dan Houston, I think that you've got it, because the midfield, people forget. Everyone says the midfield is slow, right? It's my favourite thing. But this time last year, Carlton's midfield was producing the most scores, was transitioning the fastest than any other league. It was average 0.2 seconds quicker from the corridor to the forward line than any other side. Its ball movement rating was one of the best in the league. So why do you need to change that? Like, all them guys there stay fit apart from Chera this year. So I'm not worried about that. I would like to add a bit of depth, but we've got Ben Camporelli here, and also I think Lidge will go there as well, right?
You can tell the difference between Carlton this year not having a fit and inform Adam Chera. I mean, that is just a ridiculous difference, not having him all year.
Yeah, and like, to answer Walsh's point and to back your point up, one of the rarest things when you watch draftees is defensive positioning from an attacking midfielder. Chera's one of the few players that has that.
Yeah.
One of the few players that has that. Fucking hell, Alex, you're playing a dangerous game. Fucking Taj Houghton.
We love
Carlton
an injury.
Mate, Carlton fans complain about Kemp's kicking and he goes at 70% by foot. Wait till they see Taj fucking stink it up.
Cunningham without the foot skills.
Yeah. And Travis nails it. Look at TDK when he runs that midfield. It looks quicker. Look at Brisbane against Brisbane. So I actually like that, chat. I think if that, like, look, let's say, I think, chat, even though we don't like it, I think we've got to get used to that's happening.
Yeah.
So I don't mind the off-season we've had, because we've brought in this little game together. I'll hit it when it does this. Fucking, if you're watching this, Mr. Owner of Microsoft, sort out resize and the ability to copy and paste.
Yeah, if I've copied them all, I want them all in a straight line. Just make it happen.
But if we look at this here, and you just did this, right? Right, and you did that. If we did all this, and we got, I wouldn't mind that as a trade period.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Being able to capitalize in the draft while also bringing in that talent is what excites me. We know, Ben and Lucas are there. Just having pick 11 is kind of annoying me, because I know we haven't kind of gone into it. We've been going for enough time, so I don't want to dive far too into the detail, but Ben and Lucas don't fit ridiculous needs for me for what I think we want. If they weren't father-sons, I don't think we'd look to draft either one of them. So that's why I like this, being able to still have a hit, get that key defender in, bring in a small, versatile forward as well as the sort of free camper rallies.
Mate, I agree. And Stewson saying the small forwards are shit. Like, I mean, to be honest, I think the one thing that I love about Jesse Motlop, and it's what got him drafted, is when South Fremantle had injuries. That was when he suddenly came from like undrafted to it. I actually reckon there's something mentally wrong with him, that he actually needs to be told he's the main man. So I'm going to make a big call. I reckon Zach Williams and Jesse Motlop combined for 60.
Oh, don't do that, Pommy. I went big in my predictions last year, and mine was, yours is actually sensible. Mine wasn't. I think I said there was like 80 goals or something between Orazio, Motlop, and Jack Martin, but evidently none of them could play football this season. None could stay healthy. I think the issue when you're talking about the small forwards and wanting to improve in areas, and it's kind of the whole team, is That's fine. I agree. We need a better small forward. Who's out there? If we want to make a trade and we have unlimited draft picks, unlimited salary cap, there are no good small forwards up for trade that another team is willing to get rid of right now, which means you have to go to the draft. And there's really good players this year in the small forward crop. So it is one thing trying to say we need to hit this area. We need to improve on our midfield, let's say. We need to bring in a speedy midfielder that can also kick goals and play in the forward line, high half forward. Well, there's none kind of out there to bring in that are already proven. So then you'd have to look for the draft. So it is that complicated thing. You can't just wave a magic wand and get these players.
Yeah, you know what? And do you know what I mean? I agree with Blues Baggers Edge. I am so against the Houston bid, right? I'm so against it. You are preaching. I mean, I think I was the first. I think I was the first to hate it, and people hated me for it. But I will say this. SDK for 2 firsts, and that's going to be the value, would be even worse list management than bringing Dan Houston in when he's a year out of contract. Like,
you don't do it.
I'll go back to what I said about Hawthorne. Hawthorne knew next year they potentially could get 1 for free, and they ended up getting 2. Like, that's what you want to do. Like, Carlton need to get out of the mindset of buy, and develop. Like, you know what? If I was doing it, I can fix this. That future second you've got, right? And Carlton fans are probably going to go, oh, I hate Laverty. And I'm going to be like, well, he battered Charlie Curnow on his own, mate. I'd do that. I've pick 11. That guy becomes Joe Berry. And you get Jesse Dottoli. Well, and you get Noah Mraz.
Is there a world, Pommy, if this position of Dan Houston is a need, that you'd rather go Toby Trevelyan? I know we're kind of saying we don't necessarily need that position, but if it was between giving up a first and more, or bringing in Toby, what would you be choosing out of the two?
To be honest, like halfback is I wouldn't even have. Like even though he's amazing, I just don't see the need.
Yeah.
Like Travis says that he played just about a full season. A full season with him. And like this is what annoys me. Like I know why Carlton are shit when it comes to trade period, and you speak to the fans because the club do what the fans say, right? And the fans just want star power. Where every Harris Andrew has a Jack Payne who locks people down. Yeah. So Carlton want a key defensive team that is 2 Jacob Wheaterins, which doesn't work ever in the league. You actually need a dude that locks down and kills people. Like, it actually winds me up because, like, to me, like even if that, like great comment there. I'm glad someone's thinking, like, if that's Adam Tomlinson, my one issue with Adam Tomlinson is this time last year, he had a conversation quite publicly saying that he wanted to retire from the game. But now he wants to stay in the game. So that's a worry for me, because if you bring him in and then halfway through he's like, you know what, fuck this. I'm tired of being behind Mitch McGovern. See ya. Suddenly you've got a problem. So
look, if we need to sort of plug holes in the defense and move on Lewis Young, I think there's enough capable players that will give you a similar output for Lewis Young. If it's just a salary thing, if we need to get that salary out, bring someone on bargain basement prices. Not that these are exciting names and the chat will hate me, but if you need a depth option, if all goes wrong, Aaron Francis from Sydney probably going to get delisted. Denver Granger Barras can't get a game at Hawthorn. Jai Sarong is throw away a late pick because they've started to get a lot of key defenders. Alex Keith potentially from the Doggies because they've got depth there, and Bustling is probably going to take a spot. Like there's players you can get for nothing that'll basically slide into the team if we're desperate. there's enough AFL caliber players out there. I'd rather us go for these plug and play style role players than break the bank and stuff it all up for a guy like Dan Houston that we've kind of agreed that we don't necessarily need.
Like you know, the only way you would sell Dan Houston, the only way that you'd sell Dan Houston to me is if they came out and they said, all right, cool. What we'll do is we'll give you Dan Houston if you pay the full salary. But what we'll do is we just want a future first. Then I'd be like, okay, I've got 2 future firsts next year in the draft period to trade back in. I don't care. But it's for me, it's that. Oh, Blue Bagger's Edge. You can't compare Owies to Papley, Willie Rioli, and Charlie Cameron. I love you, but that's like comparing Audrey Hepburn with Paris Hilton when talking about class. I mean, like, all of Owies' goals are sharp goals out the back. So, like, for me, you're trading because I'll stand by my comment. Matty Owies never kicks 30 goals for any other football club. Any other football club. Next year, he will be Fogarty when he came to us, where we thought he was a superstar. He turned out to be pants.
Yeah.
And it took us 5 years to find a position.
I feel like everyone can get very recency biased on everything. Like, everyone was immediately saying trade Chera because of one bad year and the hamstrings. It's the same for me, Owies Motlop. All of a sudden, everyone hates Motlop. He's 20 years old compared to Owies, who is 27. Owies' best season, 33 in 23 games. Motlop's best season, 24 in 21. And again, there's 7 years difference in that. Motlop is just starting to develop. If he is, only a few goals off him in his second season of AFL football, I'm jumping on Jesse Motlop before Matt Owies.
Well, no, I agree with you. So, chat, these were the 2 little options that we came up with, right? We've got this one, and then we've got this one. Right, and let's say that's Denver, Granger, Barras, Laverde, Tomlinson deal. Like, which of these, like, do you prefer to look at in, like, a normal world?
And was it Lewis Young out as well on that one on the right? The option 2?
Good call.
Yeah.
There we are.
I know which one I prefer, Pommy. It's the one on the right. I like the versatility. And I like that even though we've put in guys there to draft, like the Detoli could be a bunch of other different players there. I think the Mraz and Berry are locked. Detoli could be anyone. And I'd much rather, like we were praising this football club all of 2023, look at the role players. We're bringing in guys to play certain roles in the system rather than going for names. All of a sudden, one sort of average end to the year, and it's bring in Dan Houston, bring in the savior again. I'm so much more for just bringing in that youth, bringing in the best value players that can play a role that we want, that we need, that fill a list need, rather than breaking the bank for a halfback flanker that I'm just not sure any other team in the history of the competition's done and won a flag.
Yeah, I mean, to me, when I look
at third shot at it, Pommy.
To me, the thing that kills me is every year we have a bad year, we have to bring in a savior, and it's always for a shit reason. Like, I'm pretty sure the reason we brought in Adam Cherry is because once he had a beer. Do you know what I mean? Once he had a beer. Do you know what I mean? He had a beer at the same pub. Grant, you say that, but I play golf regularly with 2 list managers, and neither of them, one of them's of the top 4 club, rate Matty Owies. He doesn't play like a small forward. He leads into the pockets of space forwards do, which would be great if he was a third, not when he's 177. Like, For me, it's madness that people even argue that we're trading Matty Owens. Like Nick Austin has been list manager at 3 of the best list management clubs before us. Like
you can judge, I think you can judge the value of a player when their name goes up for trade, they're out of contract, and there's no real link to them. So far, there has not been a concrete link for Owens. Not a lot of clubs have really come out. Even same for Kennedy, to be honest. Every other, like I've been trying to track, I've got a spreadsheet going of every single player that's been rumored and all the teams, and everything feels so much stronger in the likelihood of this team really wants them. So far, Owens and Kennedy have
look
not
at Lockie
had that.
Schultz. Lockie Schultz. It was demanded straight away. It was a first rounder. Like that's usually a good indication of Carlton have said they hope to get value versus Fremantle were like, nah, we'll trade him, but we want to first. There's a reason. So don't drop little pot shots that he's never played the game. Do you know what I mean? I'll drop a pot shot myself. How about you say something intelligent? You know what I mean? How's that? But no, I agree with you. So, I mean, I think this is going to be an interesting one because when you look at this, and Ben makes a great point, we have so many people out of contract next year, which I think gives Carlton mobility. But I think what we've done there, we have. My only issue is this, right? And
yeah, it's a glut.
I feel that's where we get something. That's where that has to improve. And I don't think there's any small forwards attainable that we can fix that with. So I think
agree.
we have to kind of, in my opinion, I think the only way out of it is looking that 3 of them players probably aren't on the list next year. So bring 2 in and hope one of them fucking is top 3. Like that's the logical.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I really enjoyed that chat. I really enjoyed that. That was super fun. Ian, what have you got for the rest of the week?
Yes, got a little bit. So, yeah, our Carlton season review is already out on our YouTube channel, Navy Blue Corner, or wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, all of that. That is out right now. And then recording on Friday will be list analysis. So, very similar to kind of what's going on here. We're going to be going through the list and trying to see what our list holes are, go through the depth chart, go through the best 23, all that fun stuff. That'll be out maybe grand final day, definitely over that weekend. And then plenty more off-season content. There's going to be trade, preview, trade review, draft stuff, all of that. So if you love your Carlton off-season content, Navy Blue Corner will definitely be churning out a lot between now and year's end.
Mate, I can't wait. Make sure you go and head over there. We'll have Ian back as well. We'll do some more of this, more analysis. But that was real fun. Like, as you can see there, I think we've nailed it there. Like, look, the 2 maybes really in our examples are that one and that one.
Yeah.
But that's pretty strong. That's pretty strong. But I'll be back tomorrow. I'll have a daily recap that should be today, but I was busy. Do you know what I mean? I was busy preparing for this. But thank you very much. I had so much fun. Loads of live content coming through. We'll be analysing all the trade and draft. But look after yourselves, everyone. See you soon. Bye.
Go Blues.